We talked about Hollywood activism. We talked about everything to do with diversity quotas in Hollywood. But what it comes down to at the end for a lot of people, it's not necessarily even about the entertainment. A lot of times they just don't like what these actors have to say because at the end of the day, a lot of these actors just hate you. And they hate me, and they hate anyone who sees the world differently than you. And two of those examples were last week, which I decided to save to today because I felt that it fit the theme very well. Sharon Stone says that Americans are to blame for Donald Trump's reelection because they are ignorant and uneducated.
And also because they voted for him.
Yes, and also because they voted for him. She was at a conference in Italy talking about fascism.
There are very few things that I find more off-putting and just gross than Americans speaking bad about America outside of America.
It never. So that happened to me early on in my not early on in my life, but in my early 20s, the first time I went to Spain. Mm-hmm. I was surprised to talk to other Americans who would put down where they were from outside of your own country. And it never made any sense to me, given all you've been blessed with to be born there. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody wants to be us anyways. It never made sense to me.
It's true.
It always seemed weird to me. So this is her speaking. She says, Italy has seen fascism, she said, according to The Guardian. Italy has seen these things, you understand what happens. You have seen this before. My country is in adolescence. Adolescence is very arrogant. Adolescence thinks it knows everything. Adolescence is naive and ignorant and arrogant. Well, you've said that word now 5 times. What are you, me? Like, don't screw this up. I'm the one who gets to screw things up, Sharon. So Americans who don't travel, who don't own a passport, who 80% don't own a passport, who are uneducated, see, like me, are in their extraordinary naivete. What I would say is that the only way that we can help with these issues is to help each other. So she tries to Hollywood used to be great at the big scale, we all need to come together and help one another. You were this close, lady. You were this close to that, but they can't. They can't stop without taking a dig at the pores, at the.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The MAGA people, the MAGA people are no longer the rich, wealthy, business owners or whatever. The MAGA people are the poor people from Appalachia. They're a significant amount of the lower income in the U.S. Yep. And the people that have been voting Democrat for the past 15, 20 years, they're all the wealthy. They're all the extreme, the business owners that have that want favors from government or something like that. They're all the people that have money. The roles have reversed. The party of big money is no longer the Republicans. They is
deny
the Democrats.
That too.
Of course they do.
The left denies that, despite the fact that any and all examples of where the donations are going speak to that.
Oh, and they'll say, well, Elon Musk is pro blah blah blah. And ignore the fact that he was a Democrat up until 5 or so years ago, maybe even less, maybe 3 years ago.
There's so much more to this for a lot of them. It's a certain amount of arrogance that I find particularly shocking, given the fact that more than a lot of industries, look, there are jobs, say government jobs, right? You're kind of safe no matter what. There's nothing so permanent as a temporary government program, but Hollywood is part of an industry where the whole point is to appeal to a mass audience to sell your product. We have conversations all the time on this show about the merit of corporate art and what it means to be an artist when the whole point is to make your money back and then some, because they spend $200, $300 on these movies, right? At what point does it cease to be art and have to be a capitalist endeavor that they need to reimburse themselves on so they can actually turn a profit and hopefully stay in business? But there has to be some magical publicist out there who has common sense. My guess is they would have to be old, really old. They would have to have been a publicist in the 80s and the 70s. They would have to already been a seasoned publicist in the 70s and the 80s to understand that the idea is to unite people and that you can find a way. For the fact that all of these people love to just speak endlessly without saying anything at all, how about you do that in a way that doesn't insult half the people in the country? Because it's not just Sharon Stone. Of course, Alec Baldwin decided to take a shot at this as well. He was like, ignorant voters fueled Trump's win, says Alec Baldwin. They are very uninformed about reality. Yes.
I know if you shoot someone with a gun, you should go to jail for that.
Well, that's the thing. It's nobody is going to let the Hollywood Hills people tell you about reality, because that's not the people that are living in the real world.
Well, I mean, I wish that they would acknowledge that, because I think you're right, but I also think that they completely and totally ignore that fact. Like, no one cares that some wealthy person that lives in LA has to say about their day-to-day life. Yeah. And if you're voting for for Donald Trump or whatever, you're not voting. You're voting because there are things that are negatively impacting your life. If you're like, oh well, I like my life the way that it's been, and I like the results that I'm getting. Of course, you're going to be like, well, it's fine to vote for the people that sound like they're saying the nice things.
Yes.
It's like
that's the biggest problem right now.
Yeah, it's all like, oh, they're the nice people.
Yeah, the biggest. Well, also they're allowed to both simultaneously be called the nice people while being awful when it suits them, because it's dismissed as for the greater good, or because they're on the right side of history. Yeah, and that's been going on for a very long time.
The exact same thing. I mean, that's been the modus operandi of the left forever. That's why you have like communism killing millions and millions and millions of people in the 20th century, but still not getting the same negative connotations today that Nazism has, right? Nazism actually killed fewer people than communism has, but because Nazism is intentionally exclusionary, and it doesn't it's the racist parts and the nationalist parts are exclusionary, and they say we want good things for the people, for our in-group. That's easy to identify as bad, as opposed to communism that says, oh, we just want good things for everybody except for those bourgeoisie, except for the people that have money because they got the money from hurting you. One of the things
that I thought was funny, so one of the tropes of like your average procedural drama in the mid 2000s was that they would do an episode. I think I might have mentioned this yesterday, so bear with me if I did. They would do episodes based around Occupy, because it was relevant at the time. Yeah. People would talk about it, and they would inevitably artfully work their way through talking about left-wing political violence without making it without making the grand statement of calling it left-wing political violence. And guess what? I was perfectly okay with that. I thought the actual writing was better back then because it wasn't so heavy-handed. I wish they could do the same when they do the same thing when talking about whatever, whether you want to talk about right-wing militias or whatever they want to talk about, which is one of the boogeymen that they use.
They're boogeymen, but right-wing militias have done less to
That's the point.
hurt the country than left-wing riots, left-wing anarchists.
But like what I said yesterday was like they would do these things where they reference Mao, they reference Stalin, they reference past violence at places like Berkeley, which, by the way, you can do without inherently using the term left-wing violence, because people who are in the know understand. Good. That's layered writing. But then all of these shows that would do this by the end would then make a statement about Hitler.
Yeah.
They would drop back to Hitler, which means that they just can't stop themselves.
They should be talking about Mao.
Exactly. And so I just laugh because I'm looking at these episodes. They're written by nobodies who you've never heard of before. I think the one that I watched the other day from like an old episode of NCIS LA, the guy went on to write for Reacher, which is I've quite enjoyed. So that's great and everything. But my guess is that these days, first of all, they don't have great editors, and you could do this in the writing now, but they won't. And everybody knows that that nobody wants to hear from the celebrities anymore, because guess who also is saying that? Sarah Silverman.
God.
Yes. Remember her?
Yeah.
Comedian Sarah Silverman says she stopped talking politics through the election, believing that Americans do not wish to hear from celebrities at the moment. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, it's true.
Whoever she hired to do her press, she needs to keep them. They're doing fantastic. She says, I was on the road with this tour for one thing. A lot of people asked me if I was going to make a video or something, but my feeling was that no one wanted to hear from celebrities right now.
She's very accurate.
She is very accurate right there. It makes me laugh. So, I don't know. Is this, for me personally, Celebrity opinions don't put me off watching their work. Never has. Maybe it's the fact that I've like cooked my brain over the years, but most of the time, outside of the most egregious examples, like if I see Mark Ruffalo, I'll be like, oh, he's kind of a dork, right? Or I see Jeffrey Wright. I love Jeffrey Wright as an actor. He says annoying stuff. Or even a Wendell Pierce or an Alec Baldwin. Look, I can rewatch 30 Rock, and it's still funny to me. But the point is like not everybody can do that, right? Nor should you expect everyone to. I think that, depriving yourself of great stuff to watch because you don't agree with their political opinions, however it might work on principle for you, it's denying me something that I really, really enjoy, and I don't have to always agree with what everyone says. And even if this person hates me, in a capitalist sense, they're offering me a product, and I'm, paying for the product, and I get what I want out of it. What they think of me really doesn't matter. And maybe that's just kind of emotionally disconnected, but that's the way that I see it. Do you guys have the same approach, or does it bother you when they say this stuff?
It doesn't bother me because
Does it happen in music? Like, is this something that happens in music to you? Like, are there artists who say stuff that bother you, and then you're like, I don't want to listen to your music now?
I mean, not so much. I think that because I'm not a leftist at heart, I don't worry. Like, I can still listen to like Rage Against the Machine, and I really like Rage Against the Machine's music, even though like I absolutely detest the things that
Tom says.
Not so much Tom. I mean, Tom is. I think that Tom is very much a Hollywood leftist. Like, he's driving around in an Alfa Romeo, and he touches on the more safe things. He's not as vocally bad as some people are. He does have a Lenin quote on his pedal, which bothers me. But at the same time, like, I really like a lot of their music, and so I'm not the kind of dude that's like, no, I can't listen to this because I don't like what he says. But that's something that is typical of the left and not people that are not on the left. Like, I mean, some people may think I'm right leaning, some people may say I'm a centrist, whatever. I don't really care. But I know that I'm not a leftist. And because of that, I'm just like, well, I don't like what they say, or I don't like, what they say outside of this, and it mostly doesn't matter. Like, I watch the Avengers movies, and I still love them, even though all of them, they're all exhausting.
Except for Chris
Hemsworth.
No, not Chris Hemsworth. Except for
Pratt's not in the Marvels though. Pratt, you're gonna say?
Chris Pratt, yeah.
But he's not a Marvel though. Is he?
He's
Chris Pratt. He's Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
Yeah, but and the Marvel Avengers 1 and 2, he wasn't even in it.
Oh, but Guardians of the Galaxy came.
Yeah,
and he's also in the third one.
The point is, and you don't even know what he believes. You just know that he wore a Gadsden flag shirt maybe once, and that's about it. And he goes to church, and he's married to Arnie's daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't give a f what anyone says. I watch a movie. I watch movies. Grew up watching movies, reading books. So they're idiots, they're morons, they're fucktards, but I'll still enjoy art.
So there's this show. I forget what it was. It was a Showtime show, and there was this one episode where like Antifa was fighting like conservatives, and Antifa was clearly the good guys. Now these are the people that are like burning down buildings and rioting and murdering people for their politics. If there's something like that where they take something real and insert it into a show and then totally misrepresent it, that might be like, all right, I can't watch this. Yeah, I think it was Shameless was a show.
Okay, my point was more just like their personal beliefs. Does it put you off watching their stuff if the stuff you're watching has nothing to do with that?
Not particularly. Like if it doesn't get into the show, I don't really mind.
Yeah, I started rewatching Jack Ryan recently, the show. I love the movies. Go rewatch all the movies if you want to watch great old spy stuff. But the show with John Krasinski and Wendell Pierce, is one of those that's just one of my favorite actors working, but tends to be particularly annoying on Twitter. And guess what? That's fine. But here's the thing: pragmatically, I know that that's true for me. I'm not going to cry for the actor if he's like, nobody's watching my stuff because I'm telling everyone they're Nazis. Look, bro, you need to figure out how to either make your money and shut your mouth or make a value judgment and say, my personal opinions matter more to me than these shows actually doing well.
I will not purposely watch movies, like go pay money to them.
Yeah.
if they say some cracked out shit. I'm like, I don't care. I'll go live in the ocean and become a pirate. I don't need to give you money to help you boost your wealth.
To be fair, like I'm not really watching a lot of movies anyways.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if my girlfriend's like, we got to watch this, I'm like, all right, cool. But like, otherwise I'm not like, ooh, I want to go see this new thing coming out or whatever. The last time I was interested in a lot of movies was like the Marvel stuff. And then once it got, you know, once Endgame came and went, it's like, all right, everything after that is just kind of trash. So I don't care, you know.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.